Hey, everybody. This is Matt Johnson. Welcome back to the Team Building Podcast. We've got an amazing guest. We're going to dive in pretty quickly to the content here because we want to make sure we have time for all the stuff that I want to ask, and I know Jeff wants to ask. But first, welcome back, Jeff, fresh off his Go Abundance trip to Vietnam. What's up, buddy?
Hey, what's going on, Matt? Yeah, it's like 10:53 Central Time here in Omaha, but I'm at 10:53 p.m. Vietnam. So my time frame's a little messed up right now. I've been home about 48 hours, but I'm having a hard time beating that Vietnamese time frame.
That's right. And you're fighting it the all-natural way. Why don't you show people what's on your desk?
Monster promises that it helps you acclimate the time zone. So I'm trying to monster it up during the day and sleep at night. The sleeping part's not working. So if I'm a little off today, we'll just blame it on Matt.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Let me welcome the special guest for today, Eric Pearson. Eric, what's going on, man?
Not much, man. Just appreciate you guys having me on board. And yeah, I like that monster there. I usually drink like the C4, and you're supposed to work out on it, but I kind of just take it to get going, man. So I need to stop that actually. Thank you guys.
It's awesome.
Yeah, really
Eric,
appreciate
thanks for
you
being on the show, man. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, so let's kick things off a little bit because, Eric, when you and I first spoke, the thing that really blew me away was two things. Number one, which is the growth in the number of agents that you've recruited. And then the packages. We'll get to both those things. But give people just kind of the overview of who you are and a little bit about how you got to where you're at now, which is more of the brokerage, and then you kind of exited your team. So take us through that a little bit.
In 2011, I was a former public accountant. That's how I got into it and just jumped right into real estate. Both feet in. Went from about $3 million my first year, $20 million my second year. My third year, our team was doing about $100 million. That had about 15 agents on the team at that time. At that point, I got this idea where I wanted to go out and start a brokerage. Kind of had a vision where I wanted to provide as much value as possible to our agents, so more of an agent-focused brokerage approach. We broke off in 2015, so January of last year, and started Pearson Smith Realty. And we've grown from that team of 15 to now 325 agents. So
wow.
It's been pretty rapid growth in the past year and a half. A lot of that has to do with our value proposition to what we do offer agents. It's been just a lot of fun doing it with my uncle. He's the Smith and Pearson Smith, so it's a nice family affair. I got my wife right next here, kind of working as well. So it's been a very enjoyable experience, and we're very lucky and humbled by the growth we've had. So.
Yeah, Matt, let me chop that up real quick. So for the audience listening, I mean, in 3 years to go from brand new agent coming out of the accounting world to doing $100 million in volume, which my first year was last year to do $100 million volume. That took me 10 years in the business. What would you attribute maybe one or two things to being able to produce at that level in such a short amount of time?
To be honest with you, a lot had to do with watching podcasts and things like these and kind of really diving in. And a lot of times you see everybody wants to get the answer, and sometimes it's directly from a broker or something along those lines, when in reality you just got to jump on and kind of start looking for the information because it's all out there. So I just was, 24/7. That's what I did. It was a commitment I made. Again, my wife she gave me the leeway to let that happen, and just really learned. It really came from an online lead to a referral-based concept is really what I attacked hard. And just got really good at the scripting and following up and then training other agents how to do that. So really it was just what I find in this business is consistency, be consistent with the business, be responsive to your clients. They really just want someone to get back to them quickly and build relationships. You can do those three things and then put a nice business plan behind it. Anybody can do it in a sense.
So at your peak,
really
before deciding to leverage and go into the brokerage model, you had about 15 agents and you were doing about $100 million in volume?
Correct. Yep.
So why did you decide to go into the brokerage model and not just continue building your team?
Yeah, in reality, and it's something I learned when I started the brokerage, but it was a huge financial hit when I first made that jump from building a team to the brokerage. There's a lot of overhead that people aren't necessarily aware of when it comes to just the management team you have to put behind it to run the compliance, to the accounting, to just the day-to-day operations, the office space, the E&O insurance, being able to provide things to the agents to help them be successful. So it was a big jump when I did it, but it was more of a vision at that point. So
Eric, do you know when you were running your team, do you know what percentage of your gross commission income you were keeping in the form of net profit? And the reason I ask is because I'd like to compare that to what you keep now as a brokerage model.
Yeah, to be honest, I've never really run those numbers, and I just knew I was profitable at the time. Now, how we ran our business, it was online leads, right? And I'm more of the syndicated site type person, so it's going to the Zillow and the Realtor and the home. So it's an expensive game plan in terms of what we're doing. But at the time, I didn't run it as much besides just knowing that it was working in terms of things. But today we have a much bigger handle on it. And the first year, in all honesty, it was a lot of grinding. It was a lot of equity that we put in, and kind of we were working through it. And then today, we're at a point now where it's extremely profitable for us, but it came from a lot of hard work. And those first year, it's really working hard and making sure you get to that point. So
when you say we, how many owners or leaders are there of the team, and now how many owners or leaders are there of the brokerage?
Yeah, so it started out with me and my uncle. He was the CAO of Morgan Franklin, which is a big contracting firm around here. So it's me and him are the only owners in the business. Today, it's me and him. We have a principal broker who runs the compliance. We have a managing broker that's running the day-to-day operations. We have an onboarding director that's helping agents come on in and making that process as smooth as possible. We have 3 people who kind of run the dot loop type aspect. That's what we use for our contract e-signature platform and all that. So they're reviewing the loops and setting it up to make sure it's as easy as possible. We have a photographer, media director in-house that's kind of doing all those type things. And then we have some just employment in terms of receptionists or people helping out around the office. So it's grown. Obviously, we've had to scale considerably to get that point. But in terms of ownership, we, as myself and my uncle, which is Chuck Smith.
And you had mentioned before we jumped on this call, you guys did about $500 million in gross volume last year. Was that correct?
No, so that's where we stand right now. Our brokerage, we run about $70 million a month is what we're doing at this point. So if I looked at it from a fiscal year standpoint and said from today till next year, we're probably closing in on that point where we're at it's going to be substantially different, because our thing is we add 50 agents a month. So when we add 50 agents, in the past 3 months, we've added 150 that their stuff isn't even really hitting our books yet. Yeah. So with what we have, we're about 70. But if we look at the true flow that we're at right now, we're probably looking at closer to $1.5 billion in terms of once these 150 really start rolling, because a lot of them are coming in our top producers already, right. Or some of them we get on platforms that help them get going quickly. So
where are you at year to date? Do you know?
I'd have to look at the exact numbers, but to date, we're probably around 400 million, something along those lines. And again, that has a lot to do with, we started this year with just over 100 people, I think, and now we're at 325. So it's been, each month, it's a compounding effect in terms of things.
What percentage of market share does your firm have in your market, on your MLS?
You know, I'd have to double check in terms of market share. We are now in our county, which we started at, which is Loudoun County. We're neck and neck to that #1 spot.
Oh, wow.
In terms of potential market share, I'm not sure, but last I ran my broker matrix, we were in the top 10 in our Northern Virginia area in terms of per office per MLS code. Again, we're growing rapidly. We're slowly starting to see that. Now, we are a online model is how we started, so it's heavy buy side, a lot of it. The things, I think we run about 36% listings, 64% buy sides. So we're slowly seeing that number start to change. When we first started, it was more 20% listings, 80% buy sides. And then we get great teams like Karen Cooper that you kind of mentioned before in the Platinum Group. They come on and they're more listing heavy type teams. So those numbers are changing. The market share is getting larger and larger. And again, we're working hard, and hopefully we continue down that path.
So one of the main things, and Matt, I don't mean to steal the show. It's just there's so much content here, and to get through it in 3 minutes is going to be impossible. Would love to have you out, by the way, Eric, to our workshop, and I'd offer that to you for free as an affiliate partner. So would love to have you here. But one of the things that you said, and I think it's the thing the audience is wanting us to ask, and I remember as I watch podcasts even to this day, there's things that will come out, and I'm like, why didn't they ask them a follow-up question? You said you recruit 50 agents a month. Would you please teach me and everyone listening how the hell you do that?
So in reality, and I'll be 100% honest with you, we have a insane recruiting incentive. So a lot of brokerages that you run into, they have the royalty fee that they have to pass off to the international company or something along those lines. Well, luckily we do not have that. And kind of our goal is to be the biggest and baddest in Virginia, Maryland, DC, West Virginia. So it's something where culture is extremely, extremely huge to us. So we always get scared if we go outside of that, how do we keep that culture intact? But because we don't have that royalty fee, we have a 5% GCI recruiting incentive. So if you bring an agent into our brokerage and that person's split is 80-20, the agent closed the deal and 10 grand commission comes in, 8 grand to the agent, 5 grand to the, or $500 to the recruiting agent, $1,500 to the brokerage. So extremely lucrative model, and it's very transparent. Forever. Whoa. As long as both parties are associated with the brokerage.
Wow.
Dang, yeah. So in essence, if you get 10 agents here that are decent producers, it's 50 grand a year to you is typically what it comes out to. But on average, you get an agent in, you're making about 6 grand a year on that agent, potentially a little bit more if they're a true top producer. Now, be mindful, it's 5% up to 90-10 and below split. We do have team models that go a little bit higher, and then it will whittle down a little bit to a 2.5% or something along those lines. But the majority of people you're taking a 5% override on, paid out at time of closing, comes right to you, very transparent. People see these checks, and it's really taken off in terms of
no money up front, right? It's just it's based on closing.
No money up front.
I like that a lot.
Based on closing. Yep, and only on a buy-sell transactions. But in terms of recruiting, in all honesty, that's been huge. That's probably about half of our efforts comes from agent recruits bringing them into me. I'm very mindful that it's a great retention tool. Our retention is about 99.9%.
If they leave, that's not legacy. I know it, like Keller Williams, they have profit sharing, and that's with you no matter where you are. Even when you die, you can pass that along to your family. I'm assuming with you guys, if you leave, it's gone.
You leave, it's gone. Yep. So.
Okay. Awesome. So also you talked a little bit before we jumped on live about all of value, and I loved that you said that. I don't hear enough top agents say that. For me, as an individual agent for 5 years, all I cared about was serving my customer. As I became a team leader, the thing I cared most about was serving my agents, which was essentially teaching them to serve the customer. What are some of the things you're doing that differentiates you, do you feel, compared to the other brokerages in your market to help serve the agents, to help them be more successful?
Yeah, and I'll definitely give you more than one or two, but so we have 12 compensation package. Every agent within our brokerage is going to get the third-party tools. Some people say like death by subscription in a sense, but they're all getting the happy grasshoppers, the keeping current matters, the listings, the leads, the updaters, the realtor.com showcase listings, all that type stuff. Every agent is getting those tools to really work with. Now, depending on the compensation plan you choose, ultimately that can go to even more being provided. So if you want more support like photography and video, home staging on all your listings, sign installation, brochures, business cards, signage, transaction coordinator, leads, like we'll provide it all to you almost as if you're on a team. So you have that support at all times. The compensation plan you choose, the more you get based on the current split.
And would you say the highest level that you provide, which is what maybe the team leaders would jump on board with, is similar to what you provided when you were a team leader a couple years ago running a team?
Yeah, so that package, our initial package in the brokerage is pretty much as if you're on a team. It's just a brokerage ran team in a sense. So they're getting everything, and it's very attractive in terms of commission splits and things along those lines. But anything you're going to find from a team, it's there for you. Now, we also have plans that are team compensation plans, which really almost a brokerage within a brokerage, where they're kind of running their compliance, back end, things along those lines, but we let them kind of go take over the world in their own sense. So we're very flexible in, hey, whatever you need, we have a place for you. So out of these 12 plans, pick one. I guarantee one's going to match up with what your vision is and help get you where you want to go. So it's really based on whatever an agent's looking for, and that customization is another reason why when people are recruited in, it's tough not to find some type of plan that works for them.
So agents don't have to earn a certain plan, because I've seen that a lot within brokerages. Even if you wanted the 100% plan or the 94-6 plan, you had to earn it by selling a certain amount of real estate in the first 2 years. It sounds like with you guys, you come aboard and you look at the 12 options and you jump on board with the one that fits you the best.
Yeah, in a sense, and you do have to earn it here. So we have, of those 12, there's 7 that you can come pick and choose. And then there's the other 5, which is based off a commission type model. So if you want to come in and our value prop to you is I want the highest commission split possible, well, you're going to start here at 80-20. And as you hit certain volume tiers, you can tick up. If you get to a 10 million producer or something along those lines, you can get to the very attractive commission splits. So you do have to earn in a sense. You can't come in and get it off the bat. But it's not, but it is something that's attainable and some people can work up to. And there's never a way where you get to a point where you just feel you're capped and you're saying, man, I can't scale anymore here. There's always an end game.
You mentioned, Eric, when you ran your real estate team, one of the biggest challenges was the costs of leads. You knew you were profitable, but those costs really can, hold you down. And I've experienced that myself. One of the things that we did strategically was we went out and created marketing service agreements with different lenders and vendors in our market, which today generates over $13,000 a month that we can use in online ad spend. Have you, as an individual team leader or broker owner, considered going out and creating those types of relationships?
Yeah, we have relationships similar with lenders, and obviously it's our biggest thing is always doing our best to stay compliant from the CFPB and RESPA and all that type stuff. So we do have agreements in place. In addition to that, we did get to the point where we JV'd with a title company. So that's been huge in terms of bringing in additional support to the brokerage and things like that. And again, always staying on top of the rules and regs. But that's definitely something that we participate in. It helps us, it helps the brokerage grow. And as long as we're doing it the right way, it's something that really works well for us.
Awesome. That's funny. I was actually, while in Vietnam, I was with a top broker from Phoenix, and we talked a lot about broker fees. And he said that he's having a challenge in his market because there's other brokers that are essentially giving the commission incentives away to attract agents. He's scared to force his agents or require them to charge a broker fee. And I talked to him about how my team charges $600 on every buy side and $1,000 on every sell side, which drives about $400,000 of profit to us, which we then turn around and use to cover all of our administrative expenses. How does your brokerage handle broker fees? Do you guys require your agents to cover a broker fee on every deal?
Is a $250 transaction fee. It's pretty much what we call it. So that really goes to running the office, right? It's kind of the way to hire more staffing, to have more accountants or whatever it is that we need, or heck, even help fill up the coffee in the back. We spent about $1,000 last month in coffee. So
keep them caffeinated, baby. Start buying Monster.
I'll tell you what, man. We got that espresso, and those little cups are crazy. But no, so that's what that transaction fee is really for. Ultimately, it's a fee that we charge our agents. We don't. Sometimes they take it and they charge it to their client per the buyer agreement or listing agreement, and that's up to them. But ultimately, it's a fee that we charge the agent, and then it's up to them to do with it in terms of getting it covered. So, so we do have it. No real kickback because it just makes sense in reality when you look at the outside marketplace. It's just kind of what it is in all honesty. So. Yep.
Awesome. And then you mentioned you guys did start your own title company or did a JV with a title company. It's funny, as an agent leading a team, and now that we're doing about 750 deals a year here in Omaha, I've started to see that it made sense for me to exit a few of my marketing service agreements and create my own entities. So I also have my own title company and insurance company. I've looked at mortgage, but because of the rules ever changing with the CFPB, we've decided not to go into the mortgage world. What are you guys doing right now in terms of mortgage to try to generate income off of that?
Honestly, same thing, man. It's too gray to potentially try to join JV. It's also very expensive. So it's something that we just, we're happy with the partners that we have. We think they do an amazing job. So obviously there's always those things where you look at it and say, man, a JV could be crazy lucrative. But compliance is always going to be number one. We want to always be in business, So we looked at it. It's way too gray. We've done our research. We're happy with the partners that we have, and I don't see that at this time or any time in the near future being something we want to get into, just because it seems too
totally agree.
Too hard.
So, Jeff, you mind if I jump in? I have one quick question before we move on from all the recruiting stuff, because you mentioned about half of your agents come from the agents themselves that are in the brokerage referring. Where's the other half? That would be 25 agents a month. What are the systems and methods that are generating those other recruiting leads?
Yeah, some now is being just driven organically. Once you kind of get a method of 50 agents coming on a month, people take notice. So some has just been organic. Everything else, in all honesty, is it's a MailChimp blast out once a month. But because of the value prop that we offer, we get a huge response from it. So I've never picked up the phone and cold called one single person. Luckily in our area, I made a lot of great friends during the time that I was practicing as a real estate, tried to always do it the right way. And we had a common goal, and let's work together to make, happy clients. So had some good relationships. So that's kind of coming around now. They've given me a year and a half to say, Eric, it looks like you're doing well. We wanted to make sure you weren't going to go out of business before we, came on board or something. So, so a lot of it's relationships, some small email blasts that we go out, occasionally a value prop in terms of an event that we throw. We had corking coaching out one time and things like that, just to, invite agents, and they come, and the opportunity to build a relationship. So, not a ton of effort or anything like that.
How many agents are on your email list? How many agents are in your market that you guys are sending that MailChimp blast to every month?
I have about 6,000 on that list. And it's funny, man, I'm always, grinding is what it's all about. That took me about a month. I literally was like, I went and found every email and put it into an Excel spreadsheet. So, it took a long time to do it, but I got the list. You did that yourself? Yeah, man.
Dude, nice job, bro.
But I was up late and probably drinking a Monster and going to town.
Yeah, probably. Jeez, I'd rather be working at Taco Bell than put that list together.
Yeah, I don't blame you. So.
That's awesome. Dude.
Oh, man.
Hey, I wanted to ask another question. So there's a lot of agents out there that run teams, me being one of them. And I always say that I think I'm always going to run a team because I'm keeping about 33% of the GCI. And a lot of times when I see people go into brokerages, they go from 33% to like 10% because of all those unforeseen expenses that you talked about. And I was really glad that you were so transparent about that, because a lot of people think their brokerages are screwing them, and you're giving your broker 6% or the franchise fee or the broker fee or whatever it might be. But when you really step away from things, you can see that maybe going the broker route is not always the best decision. So I have two questions. One, why did you decide to go away from the team model and not just expand your team to 100 people? And two, why did you decide to start your own brokerage and not jump aboard with like a Keller Williams or a Remax or one of the national franchises?
Yeah. So a lot had to do with just the vision, in terms of like, I knew what I wanted in a brokerage. I wanted to be able to create my own model, and a model that I thought provided a ton of value to agents. Again, culture is big to us. So it's something that I wanted to kind of be the leader of that culture in terms of, how we represent ourselves and what we do and who's a part of it, and just, all those type things. So, that's, in terms of why didn't I go somewhere else, it was simply I had a vision. I wanted to do it myself. My uncle jumped on board, and we created a model that we thought was going to be successful. Yeah. So that was that. In terms of the team, in all honesty, when we went to the brokerage, the concept of the team, it kind of escaped me. Again, it became a package that we offer. And what was happening in the team is I was 28 years old. We had this great team, but we got to 15 agents, and I had very, very talented people on that team. So you get to a point where they come and say, hey, Eric, love you, man, but I'm ready to do this on my own. So when I was running the team, due to there are some fees that need to go to the brokerage and things like that, I wasn't able to adjust comp plans or something like that where one would be fair to all the agents on the team.
Yep.
Or allowed me to continue with the profitability model. So I looked at that person. It was kind of my first glance of saying, hey, you know what? I'm going to come in here and create a brokerage where package one is going to provide value until a certain point. And every quarter, our agents are allowed to change packages. And the second package one no longer provides value, and they come in and they have that conversation, I'm going to say, hey, man, I want to see you as successful as possible. Let's open this booklet up and see what package works best for you now. So it was more a way to say the team was great. It was all running well. Life was good. But it was more, when I have these agents that I highly respected wanting to come to me, it was tough for me to say, I want to let go in terms of, man, I love working with you on a daily basis. I like, if you are here and we're our situation, I got to let you go, man. I understand you don't need to be on a 50-50 anymore or something along those lines. Go do what you can. But I wanted to continue on that journey with those agents. So that's why I no longer want to do the team. I just saw it as almost a revolving cycle. If I wasn't able to make a big change, and a big change quick.
Sure.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, so Eric, tell me a little bit about the, so back to the buyer lead gen, since that's a big part of things, and it's how a lot of the new agents are coming in and kind of getting ramped up on that. So refresh my memory on the numbers, and how are you guys teaching the agents to really systematically follow up on the leads so you actually close a nice percentage of those?
Yep. So we have two different models in terms of leads that really run. It probably 100 of the agents, maybe 125 in our brokerage are on those models. So basically how it works, we have two separate ones. One is a complete Boomtown generation model. Now, we don't really generate the leads from Boomtown that much. We have a small budget that goes towards that. Again, the majority are coming from the realtors, the Zillows, the homes.coms, and things like that. Just specific property leads perform at a much higher level. But all it is a simple round robin rotation. There's way too many agents to try to do an agent on duty or something along those lines. But it's round robin with high accountability. So you have your 15 minutes to follow up, or we transfer the lead. It has a dedicated team leader that's constantly watching and making sure they do what they need to be doing. In terms of our follow-up plans, it's a 21-day process. This is when you call, this is when you text, this is when you email, with very high-level drip campaigns that get a good response. So it's really simply bringing agents in, them leads right away with the strong knowledge of it's going to take them 6 months. I'm going to take a loss at first, but once they get going, we usually gear them up to a transaction, or at a minimum to 2 a month. And at that point, it becomes a win-win for both parties. But we really give them a lot of help. We're always trying to teach them from our managers and all those type things. And we're also smart enough to know when they mess up on a lead, we use as an opportunity to teach them how to get better, not as an opportunity to necessarily pause their leads right away and say, you don't get any if you can't get a lead right. It's all about teaching. We give them 6 months, and at that point, they have our plans. They know how the CRM works, and they're usually converting at a high level.
What percentage of the leads that they're selling on a yearly basis are from Boomtown that are generated from Google AdWords, Homes.com, Zillow, et cetera? And what percentage would you say are coming from their own personal sphere and their own personal prospecting efforts?
Yeah, so that's important. We're probably, with those agents, in all honesty, they're probably operating about 70% leads, 30% maybe referral or the other spokes to their business. Is about what we're seeing. So when a new agent gets in, the first thing they typically say, is like, where the lead gen is the toughest part. It's lead gen, lead conversion, great experience, raving fan in a sense. So what we do is solve the problem of lead gen, and then we teach them how to convert, and then we teach them how to give a great experience, and then we teach them how to create a referral database. So that changes, and again, the second they get to where it's more 50-50 or something along those lines is when I'm calling them in and saying, hey, I think it's time for you to jump off to a different package and then go take over the world.
Yeah.
So
awesome. Cool. How many leads are you giving to each agent every month in that round robin? What would you guess?
15 to 20.
What would you guess is the point of diminishing returns with leads that you're generating to your agents?
So in terms of number?
Yeah, like if you gave them 50 leads, would they sell 2? And if you gave them 10 leads, would they sell 2?
Yeah, so there's two schools of thoughts. Number one, to give somebody 50 leads, a lot of times it means that the quality probably isn't where it needs to be. Because I know what the cost per lead of a strong lead, a Zillow or something in our marketplace is $200 a pop, in all honesty. Like it's a costly game.
Cost of a lead that's going to convert. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
You just mean a cost of a lead coming from a higher quality source off of a specific listing as opposed to a home search, right?
Yep, exactly. So, and then if I look at a Boomtown, we probably run about $30, $35 a lead here, which is great, but they convert at about a 2% among our brokerage, and the other ones convert about a 7 or 8%. So, so if you give 50, you're probably giving them leads that aren't going to convert as good as they should.
Yep.
And then you just end up getting these people so busy on the ones that are just really running themselves in circles instead of just giving them higher quality and letting them work those.
So if you broke down
we found 15 to 20.
If you break down your top 5 lead sources, you mentioned Zillow, Homes.com. What would you say are your other 3?
To be honest, those are our primary sources. So we really go, what we do for those agents, Zillow, Homes.com, Realtor.com, they're all very well, doing very well for us, but again, extremely expensive. And then we do through Boomtown, which is more of a Facebook AdWords type model.
You're doing Boomtown paid advertising.
Paid advertising. Yep. Go right through Boomtown again. That's a small budget. If you look at the two, we're probably 85% syndicated site and 15% comes from a Zillow.
You feel the syndicated site leads are converting at around 7, and the Boomtown paid ads converting at about 2?
Yep, 2, maybe 1.5 to be honest with you, but at a much higher rate. What I see, in all honesty, and you guys have probably seen this on teams, if I give an agent a lead and that person's hot, they'll close them. I mean, they're good at taking a lead that is ready to go, and a specific property, which is a syndicated site lead, is ready to go if you can convert them.
Yep.
A lead that comes to your website and is just doing a normal IDX search and is looking at Ashburn is usually 6+, year plus, 2+. And what they're not good at is that initial conversation and figuring out a way to put them on a watch campaign or something along those lines and really nurture them along. Yep. They tend to get lost in the shuffle. So it's more, if I can give the agent a lead that if they can get them on the phone, talk to them, work them, and they're hot, they'll close them. They do a great job contract to close, but they're not as good. And they're kind of thinking always next lead instead of nurturing a lot of the other ones. So kind of leads me into what we're doing now. We kind of noticed that. We had about 50,000 leads in our system. And we kind of said, hey, all these leads aren't probably being worked the way that they should. And the agents just simply aren't working them anymore. So we took those leads and we now call them pretty much a recycled lead. It's a lead that was moved to an archive, a trash, or who knows, because the conversion where it, and we had enlisted a group of ISAs call center that we run out of our office. So we have 10 people in the office calling all day. So we take leads, give them to an agent. The agent tries to convert. If they can't convert and they pass them off to a point where they say almost, I don't want to work with these people anymore. And they're not necessarily saying that, but I'm kind of giving up on following up. We take those leads, we recycle them to our ISAs, and then they convert and give it to another package that we offer our agents. So
do you limit how many active leads you allow your agent to have in their all active categories, hot, nurture, watch?
You know what, we don't. So we transfer out of archive and trash. Hot, nurture, watch, we're letting them have those leads. And again, that's another concept on the team. When somebody leaves the team, what do you do with the leads, right? Whose leads are they? What are they? We consider them to be in the hot, nurture, watch, they're the agent's lead. So when they go to jump off to another package, they get to take that database with them. So it's allowing them to help build. But the archive and trash, we convert over to the ISAs. Last week, they set 41 appointments. And these are all leads that weren't supposed to go anywhere. Dead lead. So we had 41 appointments, and that's an in-house appointment. That's coming here, a buyer's meeting one of our agents to talk about buying or selling real estate. So
that's awesome.
So we found a good way. And if you think conversion rates, hey, we had a 7 to 8%, and then I'm taking that lead and recycling it and having another 7 or 8%. So I'm almost looking at a 15% conversion by having it go through 2 different lead sources. So
that's awesome.
Tough to do though, in a sense of what I've seen to have found is the ISA, it's best to have them in-house and kind of watching them and on top of it. And it's a tough position to fill. You really got to find talented individuals to do that kind of scripting and willing to do that type of work. So we're lucky to have great people doing it, but it's always tough to keep that thing going. So.
Eric, I could talk to you for another 10 hours, brother, but I don't think either of us have that much time today. Thank you so much for coming on. And I know we'd love to have you back on. There were a lot more questions I want to ask, and you guys are just killing it. Congratulations. Keep growing and keep providing value. It's fun asking a lot of these hard questions and seeing how much experience the person we're interviewing actually has. And you nailed all of our questions today. I can tell you've been through the grind, and my hat's off to you for what a short amount of time you've been in the business. I think you've probably climbed faster than anyone I've ever interviewed. So way to go, man. You're killing it.
Yeah, I really appreciate it, guys. And we had Michael Mayer in the office yesterday doing talking about 7 levels of a communication book. So to put it back at you guys, anything I can ever do to help or anything along those lines, just let me know. I'm big on trying to give it back as well, and appreciate what you guys are doing with this podcast and everything.
Cool.
All right, guys. Well, again, thank you so much, Eric. It was a pleasure. We'll definitely reach out and hopefully schedule kind of a part 2 continuation and dive. I'd love to dive a little bit deeper into the packages so people understand those a little bit better, so maybe they can model that either on their team concept or if they're a broker broker owner, if they have the flexibility that you do, Eric, to offer it as a package and help people kind of move from that transition from team to agent on their brokerage team. So anyway, we will see everybody next time. As always, go to eliterealestatesystems.com and check out all the resources there, the team building workshop, the expansion if you want to partner with us directly. And we're getting ready to roll some others really, really cool stuff out. So there's more details on that to come. But for now, just keep listening to the podcast. We've got another amazing guest. We've got to turn around and interview, do like a mastermind session with Greg Harrelson. So that's going to be coming up, released within the next few weeks if you're listening to this right now. So again, guys, thank you so much.
How do people get a hold of Eric? Eric, what's the best way if someone listens to this and wants to follow up with you?
Yeah, you can always call me on my personal office line, 571-386-1076, or just email me at Eric, ERIC, at the letter E, the number 4, and then realty.com, Eric at e4realty.com. So thanks a lot, guys. Really appreciate it.
Awesome. I hope your phone's blowing up when we launch this podcast.
Oh, actually, I'll throw this out there, PearsonSmithRealty.com, PearsonSmithRealty.com. So.
Awesome. Appreciate it, Eric. Thanks again, man.
Cool.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Take care.